What you gonna tell me about Ray and Turk?
Who?
Tom Ford let me screw around a little bit. I know there's one line I made up. It's when I have Carl in the interrogation room. I'm asking him about somebody, and he keeps saying, who? And I said, what are you, an owl? I made that up. Hello, I'm Michael Shannon, and I'm going to watch some scenes from throughout my illustrious film career. The first thing I think when I see this scene is, oh, there's Union Station. Because I lived in Chicago for a long time. That's where I started this whole shenanigans. I used to go to Union Station. I used to walk in there, get a cup of coffee if I was downtown or hit the head or whatever, I'd been in there, I'd taken trains out of there. And never in my wildest dreams did I think I'd be shooting this in Union Station.
If you love these people so much, you can mourn for them. Don't do this! Stop!
Oh gosh, I just wish people didn't kill people, period. I mean, whether or not they're aliens from outer space or just regular Joes. I guess one of the controversies with this film, and Zach engineered this, really, is that Superman is not supposed to kill anybody, so I put him in a situation where if he wants to save these people, he has to kill me, and he does. And that obviously led to a lot of Strum and Drang, or whatever you say. I really loved working with Zach, and I really loved making this movie. I think a lot of people say, oh, this isn't what he usually does. He just went for the big payday or something. But I'm proud of this movie. I think it's actually about something.
I just think this is a window that's not going to stay open. We need to take advantage of it, but then you just need to look at the numbers.
Walt.
Dad, you put me in charge of our books. Let me be in charge. Let me do this, please.
Oh, I got to do a scene with Christopher Plummer. God bless him. To catch that movie was all there was a lot of camaraderie, we'd all hang around, and everybody had a trailer down this parking lot down the hill, but most of the cast would always just stay in the house. They wouldn't even go back to their trailers or whatever. There was a room in the basement, and we would all just sit down there and tell stories. But, Christopher kept to himself, He was older, and he was, conserving his energy, I suppose.
But you're not going to be running the publishing house anymore. You're free of it.
Oh. Dad, are you firing me?
No, we'll talk details tomorrow. My mind's made up.
I remember Ryan saying that he was going to shoot it just in one angle, and that always gives me the heebie-jeebies when I know there's not going to be any coverage because there's nothing to cut to, so you really just need a take that works throughout, and that's a hard thing to make. But sitting here watching it now, I'm like, oh, of course that's what he did because it's so right, But that's why he's Rian Johnson. He knows what he's doing.
Funny, Ransom, you skipped the funeral, but you're early for the will reading.
Okay, people grieve in different ways. Let's not.
You know what? It's funny you're here at all. Why are you even bothering? That's what I'm asking myself.
What's that supposed to mean?
He knows what it's supposed to mean.
When we did the big group scenes, those could have gone on forever, Everybody was pitching, We really didn't want it to end, We were just having so much fun.
It's your obligation to report any detail, no matter how small or trivial it may seem. Trivial means unimportant.
I didn't see nothing out of the ordinary, no. Or trivial. See, my feet were hurting.
What about you?
She didn't see anything.
Oh, they're just adorable. Look at them. What a duo. It's really bizarre seeing this scene, honestly, because I just was on a flight from Rome to Chicago, which takes a while. So I was cycling through movies. One of the movies I watched was called Bring Her Back, that Sally's the lead in. And it just blew my mind watching her in that, because it's like a horror movie and she's really scary. I was like, that's little Sally Hawkins from Shape of Water. What? Look at that.
Did either of you see him coming in or out of the lab?
He works there, doesn't he?
I mean in a different way, doing something different.
Something trivial?
I mean, they're just both phenomenal. Their chemistry is just really something. It must have been interesting for Sally, I would imagine. I've often wondered if she put something in her ears or she just could hear. She's so convincing, being deaf.
What'd you say to me? What is she saying?
I didn't catch it.
What is she saying?
She's saying thank you.
There's a lot of people in the military that have all the best intentions and really are trying to do something very noble and really are motivated by their love of our country and freedom, and I'm totally on board with that. But, you know, this whole notion that the Department of Defense should be called the Department of War again, it's just like, why are we going backwards? I'm not talking about acting. I can't help it. I saw that the other day. I'm like, what? What? But anyway, it seems like an idea Strickland would have been on board with.
I can't tell you how pleased I am. Oh, but I expect you'll be needing a bigger house now, won't you?
Hold it a second, Ma. Hold on a second, Ma. I don't get this. I mean,
What's so obvious about it? I mean, okay, she's pregnant, so what? Don't people have babies in Europe?
Suppose we just say that people anywhere aren't very well advised to have babies unless they can afford them.
Well, Leo's making me laugh. I just get a real kick out of watching him. Watching all of them, really. I mean, that was quite a table to be sitting at, you know. It was interesting just to be there with Leo, and because I'd been watching him since he was a kid, and now here he's playing a man, you know, a family man. I'm just really impressed by it because it's so the opposite of his actual life. If you think of acting as being able to have empathy for people whose experiences are very different from yours, you know, then that's about as high a bar as you can set.
I wouldn't be surprised if he knocked her up on purpose just so he could spend the rest of his life hiding behind a maternity dress. That way he'd never have to find out what he's really made of.
I think that's just about enough out of you. I mean, who the hell do you think you are? You come in here and say whatever crazy goddamn thing comes into your head, and I think it's about time somebody told you to keep your goddamn mouth shut.
He's not well, Frank.
Not well, my ass! I don't give a damn if he's sick or well or dead or alive. He should keep his fucking opinions in the fucking insane asylum where they belong!
I've never been in an insane asylum myself. But I don't think the hospital had much effect on John one way or the other, really. When she says he's not well, I mean, I don't think any of these people are particularly well. I mean, it's funny. I live in a big city. I live in New York City. Despite the fact that it's one of the major cities of the world, I see people that remind me of Frank and April all over the place.
Big man you got there, April. Big family man.
I feel sorry for you.
These eras have a habit of repeating themselves. It seems like we could be going through a similar period now. People wanting to hide their head in the sand and just focus on themselves and their own comfort and their own upward mobility because they find the world is too chaotic and frightening to deal with.
I'm sorry.
Baby, there's no storm outside.
I'm sorry.
This is always the scene I think of when I think of this movie. I just always find it very moving when I see people trying to take care of each other, you know. I hope that when people see this scene, it makes them think about how they deal with people in their own lives, you know.
I love you, but if I open the door, then nothing's gonna change. You'll see that everything's fine, but nothing will change. Please. This is what it means to stay with us.
I remember when we shot this, the very last thing we did was everything inside the storage container. It was the only time that we actually built a set. Everything else was shot on location. And it was a very long day because we were out of time. We didn't have any more days left, so we knew we had to get everything. I think it was in one day, so it wound up being, 16-hour day or something like that. This is the film I've made that means the most to me personally. Having said that, I haven't seen it in years. It's extraordinary to be sitting here and watching it now because I don't do that. I made this movie not long after I had my first daughter, so I was right alongside Curtis in being worried for her future and the state of the world. And a lot of people assume this movie's about mental illness, and that's definitely woven into it, particularly in terms of Curtis's mother and whatnot. But for me, it was always a question of how do you not lose your damn mind living in a world like this? I don't know how anybody stays sane, really. It's too much. And yeah, it felt that way back then, and it certainly feels that way now.
Sit up. Oh, jeez. I'm gonna be sick, Tony. Get over here, quick. Here, you use this, right? You shoot him if he gets out of line.
I just like Bobby. I liked him a lot. It's weird, because I really look like my dad in this movie with that mustache. My dad was a big dude, and he always had a little extra weight on him. But when I was a teenager, he went on one of these milkshakes you make with the powder, like a liquid diet, and he lost a ton of weight. And every time I see this, it's like when my dad did the milkshake diet. But it's really funny because when I met with Mr. Ford, he was asking me about the part that Aaron Taylor Johnson was playing there. And I said, I'm really excited to meet with you, and I'm very flattered you want to work with me, but I don't want to be that guy. He's like, well, who do you want to be? Like, I want to be Bobby.
Oh, who's this? Well, looky here.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah. All right. Okay, come on, boy. Get over here.
Dude, what you fucking tell this guy?
Tell him nothing, man.
No, you said you told him I was the one that killed this guy's wife and kid.
What? That's what he told me about you. You're supposed to be the law, man. What kind of bullshit is this?
Fuck off. Both of you.
I mean, he is, to me, to my mind's eye, he's heroic. he's dying. He's about to die. And, he's kind of cynical and not very happy, but he runs into this situation and he decides, I'm going to help this fella. He's very genuine. He is who he is, and he doesn't give a shit whether you like him or don't like him or what you think. And he knows what's right, and he's going to do it.
We're coming home late at night. Might get shot by a burglar.
Tom Ford let me screw around a little bit. I know there's one line I made up. It's when I have Carl in the interrogation room earlier in the film. I'm asking him about somebody, and he keeps saying, who? And I said, what are you, Al? I made that up.
Today, I have sat by and borne witness to the shows of many big men. I've bored them with a deep disquiet.
I didn't know anything about James Garfield, really. I assume like the majority of people. It's almost kind of painful, really, to look at him and think, oh, that's what a president used to be like. One of the tragic things that is happening right now is the Department of Education is being dismantled in the United States of America. The Department of Education was James Garfield's idea because he believed that in order for all Americans to be free and equal, they all needed to be educated, and that education was a right, no matter how rich or poor, or black or white or whatever they were. And so it was his baby. And now it's being slaughtered.
We want a man whose life and opinions embody all that is right and good about this place. A man who from a mountain's height looks bold.
It's quite an orator. I think people, God bless them, at the end of the day, no matter what their thoughts may be, I think they can be won over by genuineness. I can't think of an instance where genuineness is like a negative characteristic, where you're like, oh, that person was way too genuine. I really found that distasteful. It's like a light, and we're the moths drawn to the light, and then we eat the wool.
So you are aware that this makes you the only living man who can expound to us the true purposes of the Nazi Party and the inner workings of its leadership.
I am perfectly aware of this, yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was so interesting to be paired with Russell years after, Man of Steel. Yeah, I hadn't seen him in a while. I was super impressed with the work he was doing in Nuremberg. He was so prepared and specific and detailed, and he had the accent down. And he really was a leader of these men. Every time we were in the courtroom, when he came in, all the other Nazis would be in the box first, and then he'd come in. He'd say, "Good morning, men," and they all say, "Good morning." And he was like he had really created a bond with all of them that I admired, that, he didn't have to do that. He didn't have to. But he made them all feel very important. And I know they're playing Nazis, so I'm not, I don't admire that. But still, regardless of who they were playing, just to see him be concerned about even, extras, people that maybe didn't even hardly say anything in the movie. For someone who's been around as long as he has, I had a lot of respect for that.
And upon coming to power, you immediately abolished parliamentary government in Germany.
We found it to be no longer necessary.
Is that because you believe people are not capable of self-government?
We were elected by the people and given a mandate for change.
It's incredible how much work went into getting these people to incriminate themselves when anyone with half a brain in their head knew they were horrible, despicable human beings. And God bless, you know, the legal system for being that way, that it's so rigorous and demanding. There were a lot of people that said, oh, let's just kill them. He's like, no, you have to put them in front of the world and make it very clear what happened and let them try to explain it. Because if you just kill them, then they could potentially be thought of as martyrs to a cause. And also just a quest for information, to have as many details as possible. Because when they're dead, when they're gone, you're not going to find out more about it, you know. You know, you sit here and you watch all these movies you've been in, and you're like, oh, look at me. And then I go back to New York and get on the subway, and somebody's like, get out of the way. You're like, oh yeah, you're right. I shouldn't be here, you know. But that's life. Or your kids. There's nothing like your kids to remind you how inadequate you are. But it's pretty extraordinary. I never, in my wildest dreams, thought I'd be in all these movies. Never, ever. Enough!